stand up here because this was an interesting process. I want to accentuate that your hire of the procurement officer, I think that's her title, really paid off in spades through this process. We were working with a single entity that had we had some issues with in the past on another contract, and in fact we're going through an E-rate contest right now at the federal level. And so this new contract became available, and they were successful in RFP, but the contractual provisions weren't such that we liked them. And so with Kirsty and Brett and myself in cooperation, we pushed it fairly hard and was right up to the brink of going back out for an RFP, at which point they broke and conceded every single thing that we asked for. And so it was a real success. So this was tabled from last meeting, I believe, and here we are. It's good.
And I think the fact that this is E-rate, this will be E-rate refundable as a result, in and of itself saves us essentially more than her salary already. It leaves it safe. It saves us over her salary, this one contract. So this is why some people who objected to us creating this position, this kind of issue is exactly why we created it, and this single contract has essentially taken care of what we pay in her salary a year. So I'm really pleased with all the work, and I know it was a joint effort on everyone's behalf, and thank you for taking care of those interests. I'm cool to go. Anyone else has a question?
This has a return on the buck like the SRO. Thanks, Andy.
All right, vote please.
Mr. Allen.
Aye.
Mrs. Harold.
Aye.
Mr. Irons.
Aye.
Mrs. Revere Wright.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Motion carries. 7.06 organizational chart revision.
I move to approve the Falcon District 49 organizational chart as revised.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Brett or Jack want to give me more thoughts on? Because I know that was a pretty lengthy debate that we had discussing the capital and the strategic planning pieces.
Well, we talked about it together. Actually, the three of us as a team, and after hearing some of the thoughts from the others, whenever that was a while back, that's
Board retreat.
that's the version that you have in front of you is what we decided to present to you as an alternative for that.
Yeah, and we're comfortable with it. We realize, within our matrix management, we have to work in collaboration together anyway. So we were comfortable with it.
Yep. And security stayed as it is based on the recommendation of our safety and security officer.
And in regard to that, we did have quite a bit of discussion and dialogue in regard to where that really needed to fit. Had some discussion with Dave Watson. Dave also had some discussions, and I commend him for his efforts with some of our fellow school districts as well. So.
Anything else? Let's vote.
Mr. Allen.
Aye.
Mrs. Harold.
Aye.
Mr. Irons.
Aye.
Mrs. Revere Wright.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have an official org chart now. Hopefully they will stay in place for a while. Congratulations. Getting that worked out. Thank you. 7.07 Board of Education Policy BDB revision.
I move to approve revisions to the Board of Education policy BDB.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion.
I still have the same objections I have the entire time. I'm not going to go into them tonight because we're already almost 8 o'clock and they've been on the record for like 4 meetings. But I still think it's redundant and poor policy.
Concern that somebody brought up at the work just at the open forum that I had not thought of before is moving forward. Some of the officer positions on the board might not be able to attend that meeting during the day if they are full-time workers. So it would, I would bring up the fact that that would be hard to have them in evenings all the time if that person can only make day meetings. And so when you make a policy, it's not for, it's also looking forward. And stipulate which people, but have it be,
I think I would concur with you, Chairman, in that as long as there are two board people involved. I don't know if we can change it
we
now.
can change it. We need to finalize this policy,
All right,
because
so
I
let's
really
do-
don't want to bring it back again.
I can sign off on that too, as long as one of the two was either the president or the vice president. So that way you have a consistency of leadership, and at the same time, you know that what's happening in those agenda settings, you have two people in there, so you have transparency and open communication between board members.
It could say consult with all board members on planning the agenda. Where was it that it was attended?
It does say consult.
It just says consult.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say,
Consult with vice president or other board members.
I would say that it should read something to the effect that the president and the vice president should be the ones attending that meeting. If either of them cannot, then it opens up that slot for any other board member to attend. So that way you get a consistency of leadership at the top of the board. And again, it keeps transparency and open communication. But it allows the leadership, who have been chosen by the board, to actually lead.
Part of the issue has been trying to, as you get closer to an election and you have new officers that you know you're going to elect, trying to get all the members that are going to be continuing experiencing those issues. That was part of the reason why we had somebody else in besides just rotating every member in if they wanted to. So that was why I was thinking that we put that in.
I would agree with that too. I think the vice president's role should be generally to begin to understand and be schooled upon the parliamentary procedures, upon the basic concept and strategy and policies of the entire board. And we can really go into, okay, how do we train our board members, which is really what you're leaning towards. And if we're going to truly have a board that just geared toward policy, I mean, our decision as a board ought to be, does it hit policy? Yes or no? If it doesn't, then do we want to change policy? Yes or no? If we want to change policy, what should that policy be? And that should be the scope of the board. And obviously, I think the entire community knows that's not what happens in the past.
Maybe you could modify it, Sam, just to say, consult with a second board member. Okay.
That, wherever did you hear that?
Consult with a second board member, the chief, right there on number
Two.
2.
So he's saying substitute for vice
Yes.
president, instead of the vice president, strike those three words and add a second board member. That's Chuck's suggestion.
Yes, sir. I can easily make
I
those
gotta say, I
changes.
don't agree with that. And the reason why I don't agree with that is because the president and the vice president roles, they never have to leave. They're not accountable to the board. They can completely drive their own agenda without the members of the board. And whether or not, I'm not going to go into the dirty laundry of why this policy even came down to be. And I don't want to go that route. I don't feel like throwing that out on the line. However, I think the leadership has to be together. That the vice president and the president need to attend those meetings. And if either of them can't, then a member of the board should be allowed to go into that. Anyone who's available. So I think the connection of leadership assures that the president or the vice president cannot autonomously, on their own, run their own agendas. And that's the whole purpose of having that. But you don't want to break the continuity of leadership of the board at the same time. And if we were to do something like this, I can see exactly what's going to happen. You're going to get a strong mayor kind of personality that's in that president's role, and what they're going to be able to do is hand pick which one of those